Hello everyone, I'm Emily Powers, and today I'm going to show you how to paint a bird's house with acrylic paint, and I'm going to show you step by step so that you can paint with me and follow along. And the supplies that I'm using are in the description, and there's also links in the description where you can buy some of those supplies, and a percentage of your purchase helps support my channel. So I'm going to start by taking a spray bottle just with water in it and spray my canvas and the paint so I can keep my paint wet longer and the paint will go on the canvas better. And for my first layer of paint, I'm going to take a number 6 Filbert, and it's Princeton Summit is the series, but you can use any brush. It's a 1/2 inch brush and it has a rounded tip. And I'm going to dip it in my water jar and tap it off on my rag so that it's not dripping off my brush, but it's still damp. And I'm going to get my white and get a little bit of phthalo blue. And in the picture, the sky is like white, but I'm going to color it. So I'm just gonna give it a blue color. And I get a little bit of burnt umber. And I'll use that up here. And I might need to go over this first layer again, but first we can just kind of get the idea of where we want to put stuff. So in that corner I have the sky, and then I'm just gonna, without doing anything to my brush, I'm gonna get phthalo green and cadmium yellow medium, and a little bit of burnt umber, and just kind of put some of that in to the blue, and then just kind of going to kind of blend it slightly in, and then I'll just keep going out, get more burnt umber, make it darker. You can get a little bit of water to help it flow better. And if I forgot to say this already, the spraying the canvas will help it to go on smoother. I know I said what it does for the paint, but I'm not sure if I said what it does for the canvas. And if you enjoy this video, please give it a like and subscribe. I post a new video every Friday, so if you hit Emily Powers Art right below the video, then it will take you to my channel and you can watch some of my other videos. Alright, so I can just kind of take, a little bit more yellow in certain areas, a little bit more green in other areas, brown, maybe even add some blue, phthalo blue in there, and just kind of make all the greens kind of different colors back here. And it really doesn't matter what this first part looks like, I don't think, because we're probably going to go back and do basically the same thing again, and we'll probably use different colors. So I'm just kind of just taking whatever color I want and putting it in this green back here. Get a little bit of blue and put it back in here, and right in this area it's pretty like it's the grass down there, so it's going to be, I'm going to go side to side for this part, and I got cadmium yellow medium and white with that mixture. And get some water. And if you want to, you could use a brush that's flat on the end. You don't have to have a rounded tip if you don't want to, but I like using the rounded tip when I'm blending, and it makes the edges more round. Actually, I don't really, should actually try out doing it with the flat sometime just to see what it does. Alright, and I'm getting some more white and just putting that back here. So I want my ground to be going back and forth like this, and I'll get some blue back further, and we're getting back up to the trees. I'll go back to just kind of going back and forth with the brush. Get some water. Now I'm kind of going back and covering spots that I saw that had some white still showing, but we'll probably cover it up in the next layer, so if you miss any, it's fine. So I'll rinse that brush out. So now, I mean, that was pretty quick that we did that, and you want to go kind of fast, because if you stay in one spot too long, then the paint might start drying, and if you just keep trying to fix it, eventually the paint might start lifting off that's like drying. So you don't want to stay in one spot too long. So just really quickly I did that, and this sky is mostly dry, but I would be going kind of fast on the next layer too, so I'm gonna let it dry and come back when I'm ready to do the next layer. Okay, so now it's dry enough, I think, that I can do the next layer. So I'm going to take the same brush and start with the sky again. So I'm going to get my white and my phthalo blue, and actually I might make it a little darker this time. Make it a little darker up here, and then kind of make it white down here. Make it lighter. Okay, and then put some of it in the green so that I can blend into it. And I have several white spots, so I'm going to have to cover that up. Phthalo green and yellow. Some burnt umber. Get a little bit more phthalo green and change the color slightly. It's not as yellow now. And I'm going to kind of change the color of this painting, since it's just kind of a bunch of green and brown. I'm going to kind of try to add a little bit more color with like my blue to just kind of make it, you know, not just kind of green and brown, but have a little bit of a different color. But if you want it to just be the greens and browns, then that's fine too. So now I have the color I've been using just with some brown. Cover up those spots over there. The paint is like really shiny. The way my light's hitting it, it's fine for the camera, but from where I'm actually sitting, it kind of puts a shine on it. So it's a little hard for me to see. Alright, now I'll get some phthalo blue and put some of that in there. So I'm adding some color. Back behind where our birdhouse is going to go in the background. I'll get some phthalo blue, phthalo green, and burnt umber. Get some of the green and brown. So I'm just kind of putting some of the blue color and some of the dark green that has the brown in it, the burnt umber, and just making it all dark back here. You can even add some blue to the like dark green. Just getting all those dark colors. And now I'm going to get some phthalo green and cadmium yellow, a little bit of white, and just kind of add some green that's lighter back behind. And the paint's not as wet as it used to be, so and back here is kind of going to be covered up with the leaves in the front, but some of it in here. Alright, so I'm going to let that dry now and kind of rinse my brush out, but I probably don't really need to. And I'm going to do down here, so that blue, so that I know it'll blend. Alright, so then the phthalo green and yellow with a little bit of white and some brown. And put oops. Just go back and forth for the grass. And I got a little bit of phthalo blue, but the phthalo blue and the cadmium yellow will kind of make a color that's really close to phthalo green, so you could use either one. You really probably don't even need phthalo green. I don't know, but I mean, it would probably work without it. So if you just have the blue and the yellow, you can mix the green. And I'm going to get some white. And put it down. Oh, sorry, I keep hitting my microphone. This long handle. Alright, so put some of that light, and now I'm taking the like darker blue and just kind of blending that area there. There's still some spots I missed in here that are white. Okay. So that's good. So it's very similar to the first layer, but we have a little bit more detail and the paint's covering a lot better. So now I'm rinsing my brush out again, and paint's still wet up there, so I'm probably gonna have to let that dry too. So just you could just let it air dry, since acrylic paint tends to dry fast anyway, but you could also use a hair dryer to speed it up. So whichever one works better, whichever one you like. Alright, well, it's pretty much dry. There's a few spots now that are still wet kind of in here, so I'll just try to go around them. So I'm going to stick with the same brush again and get this light green, I guess it was for this grass, and just kind of put some green back in here. And I'm kind of using the edge of the brush, and it's making kind of like leaf shapes. So we're just kind of tapping a little bit. And I'll get some my phthalo green and cadmium yellow, and it doesn't have the white in it, so it's not as light as that. And I'll just kind of go back over some of them so it kind of blends it out a little bit. Since it's the background, it's a little blurrier, so I'll just go over it a little and make it blend. And I don't really like that super bright color all by itself, so I'm adding this to it. And I'm making some bigger brush strokes up here. Just kind of taking the edge and just taking it and just kind of pulling and making leaf looking things up there. And it's mainly right here you're going to see the most of the background, kind of in this area. So and all this is pretty much going to be covered by the leaves. I'll get a little bit of the brown. The green and the yellow. So so far it's really easy. Just making brush strokes and making it look like leaves. And your brush strokes will probably look different, but just everybody that paints will paint a little different, and even if you do the exact same painting, you could never get it to look exactly the same as the one you did before, so they're all going to look a little different. I'm going to get some of the lighter color and put it up there. Some bigger leaves in here. Alright. And I think, to put a little bit of like a bluish color in certain spots. So I'm getting some of the phthalo blue and putting some of that in the back. Picking it up just so that I can see it, and then get some yellow and some white and do some yellow ones. I'm just going to put a little bit more blue and a little more yellow, so it's just not all just kind of just all green, and just give it something else, some other color. Alright, so I'm going to leave it like that, and so now all of this back here is wet, and that's pretty much where we would be doing our branch. So I'm going to let it dry again. So it's very easy painting, but there's a lot of drawing, it seems like. But once we get to the actual bird's house and branches, we probably won't have to dry it as much. So I'm going to pause it again and let it dry. Okay, so it's dry now. We can do our next step. So I'm going to take some white school chalk, so it doesn't have to be any special kind of chalk or anything, just regular chalk, and I'm going to draw out where I want my branches and my birdhouse. So the first branch I'm going to do is just just a little lower than the top of the corner there. And then my second branch, I'm going to do, if this is the halfway point and this is the fourth, I'm going to do it kind of a little bit lower than the fourth, just somewhere in there. And I'm going to try to do my branches similar to the picture, but it doesn't have to be just like the picture. So I'm going to bring it down, and this is the branch the birdhouse is going to be on. And a little less than halfway, I guess that's good. I'm going to make it, there's like a part that goes up and down. It's kind of a funky tree branch, but trees kind of go tons of different directions. So this one kind of comes down, and there's just like a bunch of branches coming off that are little. And then back here, kind of where it does this curve here, right here where it's at the higher point, I guess you could say, it kind of comes off. There's another branch, it comes down, back up, and then has some branches. And then this one's kind of supposed to be in the background. So I just kind of do one, and then one's kind of going up and back down, so there's like a little hole in between them. And then kind of all in this area, I'm going to have leaves. Leaves from my branches. And then the birdhouse is a little bit off from the middle. So if this is the middle, it's going to be kind of over here. So let me see where I want the bottom of it. I'm going to mark out half this way and then half again. So I'm doing the quarter mark. So like right here is where I want the bottom of it to be. And then I want, let's see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark halfway and then a fourth. So I want the birdhouse to be in between these. I don't want it to be that wide, but I want it to be in between those. So kind of like here and here, maybe. And you could do yours wherever you wanted to. It could be further over, or do it in this area. Move those branches over some. Those leaves. And I want the top to be around the halfway mark. Maybe a little taller. So I'm going to do it like that. And then maybe kind of just a little bit thicker over here. And then I'm going to have the strings. Let's see, it's a little bit big. I don't want the birdhouse to be that big. Make it a little smaller than that. So I'm going to do, so I just took my rag and wiped off the chalk. It's a damp rag, just wiped off the chalk. And do bird's house like that. Alright, that's pretty good. And then, so there's going to be like this string that comes up and attaches to the branch. And then we got like the hole. We don't really have to draw that in, but, and then like the little perch that they would be sitting on, kind of in here. So we don't have to really do the details in there because we're probably going to paint over it, but alright, so I'm going to take a, see, do I want that one or do I want this one? I think I'm going to get a 1/4 inch Princeton Select angular shader. So it's going to have an angled tip, and you could use like a flat brush or a bright, but just anything that'll have kind of a nice edge, and I can kind of make small little lines with it. And I'm going to dip it in the water, put it, wipe most of it off of my paper or my rag, or you could use a paper towel, whichever one you want. And I'm going to get my white and burnt umber, see, maybe I don't want it that light, that'll be more like the top color, the top of the branch. I'll get the brown and the phthalo blue. The phthalo blue will just make it darker, make it have a little bit of blue in it. So that'll be my dark color, and I will just start putting in my branch. And you also don't have to have the same brand of the brush as I do, just whatever brush you have. I'm just letting you know which ones I'm using. So I'm going to start it out smaller because I'm only doing it like half the size that I want my branch to be at the end, because I'm going to put highlights on it. And I'll just do some lines out here. So doing some branches that my leaves can come on. We might see some of it in here. Alright, and then this one's going to come up and back down. You don't even have to draw your branches the same. You can do it different if you want. And it kind of stops and has branches coming off of it. And then this one. Okay. And now I'll get this lighter color that was, add some burnt umber with white, and get that, and it's mixing with the brown color that we have in the brush. So I'm going to get some phthalo blue and burnt umber to darken it and use that same color, just plus white. And go over and kind of pull once I have kind of where I want the top to be. I'm going to kind of pull it down in the dark. Just try not to go over the branch into the green when you're pulling down. That was two separate ones. I kind of made them one. Okay. And I'll get the dark again and go back if I went too far, which some of these I did go too far, so I don't want too much of the bright. You can just kind of tap in like in between the dark and the light, because it's kind of mixing the two on my brush and make some texture. And get some water. Just make some of the branches have a highlight. Just fixing that there. Kind of messed it up. Alright, and I think it's pretty good. So I'm going to get that lighter color out and do the burnt umber and phthalo blue. Let's make it dark again to do this one back here. Alright, and I'll get the dark and go back and pull from the bottom of the branch into the lighter and just kind of mix the two together, blend them. Right, and you're not really seeing a whole lot of branches or anything from that one. I might just kind of put a little bit of branches or something, but I can hardly see it, so okay, I'm going to rinse that off. And do the first layer on the birdhouse so that I can have that getting ready to dry. So I'm going to start it off with the burnt umber. I'm going to add it to this color, the lighter color. And I'm going to go and just fill it in. Just be careful not to go too far out, because you don't want to end up making the birdhouse way bigger than you want it. And I'm getting the darker color at the top for like a shadow. And then I'll get that dark color again and do the roof. And then I'll get the lighter and just kind of do in between the dark on the main part of the birdhouse and where it goes to the roof. Alright, so it's pretty simple, but it is kind of dark behind the bird's house. So for us to be able to see it better, we might have to lighten the background up. I think I might do that. But first, since my tree branch is probably dry enough, I'm going to take my rag and dip it in the water so it'll be just a little damp, get a little wet, and wipe off the chalk around the branches so I can see them better. Alright, don't want to go over too much of the birdhouse because it's still kind of drying. Alright, and I'm going to get a number 8 filbert, and it's Princeton Select, so it's close to the 1/4 inch brush I had before. I think it's a little bit bigger, so it's a little bigger than a 1/4 inch, but a 1/4 inch should probably work, or something a little bigger probably work too. And I'm going to get my cadmium yellow and phthalo green. Actually, I'll get this darker color first. I'll get the burnt umber phthalo green. Do the darker first, and I'll just put some leaves in here. Okay. You can just kind of pull it and it'll kind of make some leaf shapes just by pulling. But this is going to be the dark part, so it won't really matter a whole lot if we don't have it shaped like a leaf. Alright, now I'm going to get the brighter cadmium. Well, I say that. I wanted to put some blue in it too. So put some phthalo blue. Give it some bluish color. Alright, now I think I can actually get this color. Let's see if I'll change my mind. Alright, so now I'm getting the cadmium yellow and phthalo green. It's still kind of dark, but a little bit, oops. I said it's still kind of dark, and then I got a bunch of white. Because I didn't add white to this, so I'm kind of getting a little bit of white from that other color. And now I'm kind of making the leaves that are on top of the darker. A little bit of water. Okay, and I got some white, and I'm going to make some of them lighter. So I got some on the edge. Gonna put some in between. I'll get some phthalo blue, and it's mixing with the color I had already. And I'm gonna put it in some of the spots that I want it to be darker or look a little further back. I think blue might look neat. Okay, and then we'll get some yellow. Looks like a little bit of white is in there. Make some of them brighter. Pop out more. Right now I'll get some white and really make the ones that I want to pop out brighter with this and make it look like they're the ones on top. Get some of the phthalo green, have a little bit of phthalo blue in it. Just kind of blend some of them. Get some of the brown. And I'll put some brown in between the leaves. Take some blue and go in between two. Some of the brighter green. Add a little bit of white down here, but not as much as up there. And that's probably pretty good for the branches. I might, or the leaves, I might get a little bit of phthalo green again with the brown and just do some kind of that are coming off in the back, and some of the phthalo blue with it, make it dark. just kind of have some that are just kind of off the side. Okay. And I'm gonna get my little angle brush, 1/4 inch one, and I'm gonna make sure I rinse my other brushes out. Okay, and actually I can take the chalk off my bird's house now. You can see what it looks like. Now, I'll actually just take that off and put in the string later. Okay, so I could probably just go ahead and put in the string. Get the dark color by getting the phthalo blue and ultramarine blue. Make a thin line with the tip, and I'm going to kind of do like two. I'm going to kind of split it into twos. Here, let me zoom in so you can see this part real good. So you see I kind of split it here, and I'll get a little bit of white and just kind of brighten that part. And it's just really dark. I don't like it being that dark around the bird's house, so I'm going to put some lighter color in the background. I'm going to get my cadmium yellow medium and white and some of the like darker phthalo green burnt umber mixture, but it's still very light. And I'm going to just kind of go and I'm going to go around it and make some brighter color so you can see it better. Just put some all back here so it doesn't look out of place. Do some kind of in between the two strings. And a little bit over here. That phthalo green. And kind of some brighter back there. So you want the bird's house to stand out. dark color and put it back here. I'll get the phthalo green and some yellow and some burnt umber and make kind of in between the light and the dark color and kind of blend them in. Let me zoom out just a little bit so you can see it. And you can always go back over the birdhouse so it's not a big deal if you get some green on it. Get a little bit of the phthalo blue. And put some of the blue in. Some of that brighter green. So it doesn't look like we just put it right in between the two. And I'll go back over my string too, just so you can see it better. Because I kind of covered it up a little. Okay. Alright, so it'll stand out a little better now. Do a little bit more up against the edge of this side. And get my other greens and go make some little leaves. Get some of the darker okay. Get a little bit. Okay. Okay. I'm going to rinse it out and put it back in the string it's hanging on. And then I'm going to wrap the string around. It's like a wire, I guess. Comes out right here. It has kind of like a loop at the end. I'm going to get some of the brown and the blue. I think I still have some green in my brush. That's fine. And get the brown and the white. Oops. Alright, I got it kind of thick, so I'm going to take my brush and get some water with it and just take the paint off. Okay, I'll work on the birdhouse while that dries. And I'm going to get the phthalo blue again with that burnt umber and get the white. I'm running out of brown, so I'm gonna get that real quick. Alright, so I got some of that color, and I'm going to just gently kind of brush on some of that. So you see I'm just like barely brushing it and giving it some texture. Get a little bit more white with the same color. Get a little bit more burnt umber because it wasn't as brown as I want. And not a lot of paint, and just okay, I'll get a little bit and just kind of brush it on the roof there. And I'll get some of the dark, make the phthalo blue burnt umber that dark color. And I'm going to put some texture on the roof, kind of make it not completely flat. And I'll just I darkened up the roof, and I'm darkening up the edge and put some on this side. White, too much came off there, so I'm going to get the white and just put it back. Okay. Okay, and I'll get some white and put some of it in the darker part of the roof and give it some highlights. And I'm going to get my white again, a little bit of burnt umber. And just brush a little bit on. Get the white, a little bit of the blue, and get some kind of more of the bluish color. And then I get the dark and kind of fix that where I first started. Make it a little higher up. And I'm getting like the more brown. And I get a little bit more of a darker, like I'm in between the dark and the light, and put some kind of marks in the wood, like knot holes and cracks and things. And then I'll get some even darker. Then I can get the lighter and brush over any spots that I don't really want there. Alright, I think now I can do the hole in the bird's house. And actually I need to get some darker kind of in here for the perch to sit on. So I'm gonna make it darker there, and then I'm gonna get the like light brown and make a little hole, like it's coming out at us, so it's, you're not really seeing that it's, popping out really a whole lot. It just looks kind of like a circle there. And you just seeing just barely, just a little bit of it coming back. Okay. And, oops, don't want that. Get some water. Alright. And I'm going around where I don't want the dark. Alright, so now I can do the black in the back. And I'm going to take I'm not actually going to use black, I'm just going to take the phthalo blue and burnt umber and make it really dark. And that'll be the dark color for the hole. So just kind of like right, maybe a little around the middle. So it's going to be pretty close to the perch. Cannot help getting water. That's like what I always do. I always get water everywhere. I don't really like it being that low, so I'm gonna wipe most of that off and just taking my brush since it's damp and pulling off paint. Can get some of my white and a little bit of burnt umber and kind of put it back in. So it's like I didn't like it, so I just changed it. So it's pretty easy to fix things if you don't like them. I like it better right there. And I'm gonna get my white again and just go over and get some brown so it doesn't look like we messed up. Alright, so we're almost done. I'm just going to try to get this hole more rounded. Alright, so that's good. Alright, so I'm going to rinse that out of my brush and zoom back out. Alright, so there's the painting. I just want to do one more thing and take the dark color and make this not as big and as bright, kind of put like a shadow under it where it hits the branch. Alright, I think it's pretty good. So I will though take my burnt umber and just mix up that dark color again and make it not as dark or not as bright, make it darker. Alright, it's pretty good, and I want to make it a little brighter at the top of the bird's house. Get brighter. Alright, blue and brown. Okay. And okay, so I'm gonna get my white, and for the last thing I'm gonna just brighten up the top of the branches. Make them pop out. And do a little bit back here. All right. So I'm going to take my Faber-Castell Hit Artist pen and sign it. So This is Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen, and I'll sign my name at the bottom, but I want to leave a little bit of space. I don't want to do it like right at the bottom, so that if it gets framed, then it won't get covered. So I've never framed one of these, but I want to make sure that doesn't happen. So there's our bird's house, and it's really easy and fun, so I hope you try it. And next Friday we're going to be doing the cat licking its tongue, and I think that'll be a really fun painting. And we've already have done these other ones, so the mountains and the horses are already on my channel, so you can hit Emily Powers Art right below the video and you can see those. And if you enjoy this video, please give it a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.